There is a profound level of quiet that only emerges when you step inside your apartment. It isn't the bleak void of depression. It isn't the aching sting of being ignored. It is a quiet that serves as a fortress. It's the emotional equivalent of a deep-sea diver finally surfacing. You feel that crushing weight of the ocean simply vanish from your lungs. It's that exact instant when you notice the steady hum of a heater or the faint dripping of a kitchen faucet, and you realize, for the next several hours, your attention is demanded by no one. This isn't confinement. This is deliberate healing. Know this. It's in these silent corners where we finally stop performing. But perhaps I'm getting ahead of myself. By the broader society, this lifestyle is constantly misunderstood. They see someone who flourishes inside their own living space and they slap on a label: aloof, antisocial, or maybe just overwhelmed by society. Yet for a specific kind of soul, the house isn't a bunker to flee from existence. It is the one environment where existence finally becomes sustainable. Think of it like this. Outside, in the marketplace of performance, your identity is a puzzle scattered by a high-speed fan. But behind your own door, the wind stops, the pieces settle, and finally, you see a picture you recognize. Perhaps this began in the early years. Think back. The crowded hallways, the chaotic energy of the school bus, the overwhelming roar of a shopping mall. For some children, those weren't just social spaces, they were endurance trials. You had to project more energy to be noticed. You had to curate your expressions to fit in. You kept a constant guard up just to feel safe. Consequently, these individuals cultivated a vivid internal landscape, a world that was gentler, slower, far more patient. Home ceased to be just a physical location. It became a spiritual anchor. Behavioral science suggests something interesting here. Those who cherish their domestic space often possess a heightened neurological sensitivity to external input. Where others see a manageable campfire of activity, your brain registers a forest fire. To the world, the city is a melody. To you, it's a wall of white noise that only your front door can mute. Choosing the quiet of home isn't an act of avoidance, it is an act of biological regulation. It is the nervous system finally finding its equilibrium and whispering, "Here, I am safe to rest." But let's look deeper. It isn't just about the senses. There is an existential layer to this. Home is the only environment where we are permitted to retire the social avatar. We all have one. The version that smiles on cue, the one that masters the art of small talk, the one that knows exactly how to blend into the crowd. Imagine peeling off an itchy, oversized costume the world forces you to wear. You finally feel the air on your own skin. That persona finally dissolves the moment the deadbolt turns. What is left? The unfiltered, unedited human being. The version that doesn't need to justify its existence to anyone. It is a strange irony. A person can spend an entire day surrounded by colleagues and friends and still feel completely invisible. Yet, the second they are alone in their kitchen with a quiet cup of coffee, they finally feel seen by themselves. That is the quiet alchemy of solitude. It isn't a lack of company, it is an intimacy with one's own soul. Our modern culture tends to deify the extrovert. We celebrate the doers, the networkers, and those who are perpetually visible. We treat stillness as if it were a synonym for stagnation. We view silence as a red flag. Yet, there is a profound strength in those who can inhabit their own company without restlessness. They have discovered that fulfillment isn't always found in the volume of life, but in its pauses. There is an old philosophical truth. If you cannot find peace within, you will never find it without. For the homebody, going inward is how they align their values. It's how they process their burdens. It's how they reconnect with what is authentic. Think about the way constant social exposure fragments the identity. You become a chameleon. You've spent so long on a checkerboard that you've forgotten your original color. But at home, the only audience is you. Now, there is a delicate balance between solitude and withdrawal. Humans are social creatures. However, the paradox is that those who love being home often maintain the most profound relationships. They refuse to dilute their energy on superficial ties. Instead, they seek out the kind of bonds where words are optional, where you can share a space for hours in total silence and feel perfectly understood. That is presence, not performance. When researchers examine the link between solitude and the mind, they find something remarkable. People who spend intentional time alone score significantly higher in creative insight and emotional resilience. This isn't because they are inherently more gifted, it's because they are reflective. Instead of drowning out their internal conflicts with noise, they sit with them. In that stillness, the silt in the river of your mind finally settles. The water becomes clear, and finally, you can see the gold sitting at the bottom. Think of your own moments of greatest clarity. Did they strike in the middle of a loud party? In a busy office? Rarely. They arrive in the shower, during a late-night walk, while staring out a window in an empty room. This is the hidden utility of the home. It provides the silence your intuition needs to finally speak up. Ironically, many people who prefer staying in carry a hidden burden of guilt. They feel the fear of missing out. They feel as if life is a party happening elsewhere that they weren't invited to. Social media amplifies this. It presents a curated highlight reel of constant motion. But the truth is, everyone is searching for the same thing, a sense of arrival. For some, that arrival is simply a Friday night with a book and a blanket. There is a primal human need for retreat. In ancient times, the seeker went to a cave or a mountain to find themselves. Today, we do it in our living rooms, surrounded by plants and soft lighting. The home is the modern monastery. From a psychological standpoint, being at home places the body in a low-threat environment. Without the need to defend or impress, your cortisol levels drop. It's the psychological version of a soldier finally unbuckling their armor in a field of tall grass. The threat is gone. The ground is soft. This is why you might suddenly feel a wave of emotion when you finally sit down at the end of the day. It isn't that you're sad. It's that your guard is finally down. It allows the feelings you've been suppressing to rise to the surface. It is healing disguised as domesticity. People might say, "You should get out more." They'll tell you, "You're wasting your best years." They don't see the internal revolutions happening behind closed doors. Reading, journaling, dreaming, these are not nothing. They are the bricks and mortar of a solid identity. The homebody isn't avoiding the world, they are preparing for it. When they do eventually step out, they don't bring more chaos. They bring a grounded, calm energy. There is also a deep comfort in the predictable rhythm of one's space. The brain craves familiarity. It signals safety. Knowing exactly where the light switch is, the specific way the floorboards creak, this isn't monotony, it is emotional regulation. Every small ritual, from brewing tea to lighting a candle, tells the nervous system, you are no longer in danger. You can relax now. In a world obsessed with visibility, choosing to be invisible is a form of rebellion. It challenges the idea that our worth is tied to our productivity. It proves that meaning can be found in the way sunlight hits a specific wall, or the sound of rain against the glass. This is a slower, deeper kind of joy, one that doesn't need to be captured for a feed to be real. For those who love being home, silence isn't an empty void. It is music. It is the sound of finally being enough. They aren't detached. They simply feel life too intensely to be in the middle of it all the time. Their instinct isn't to escape the world, but to protect their internal light from being blown out by the wind. You can see a person's soul in how they treat their sanctuary. Some homes are warm and filled with music. Others are dim, soft, and scented with cedar. Each one is a physical map of the person living inside. The dreamers build comfort, the thinkers build order, and within those walls, they nurture a world that the public will never see. Studies on originality show that when we are alone, our thoughts unfold in their most native form. Without the pressure of public perception, our ideas grow roots. This is why the greatest philosophers and artists, from Virginia Woolf to the great inventors, required their room of one's own. They knew that the outside world provides the data, but the home provides the laboratory. If you are someone who finds your greatest strength in the quiet of your own space, never apologize for it. You aren't missing out on life. You are experiencing it on a deeper frequency. You are doing the internal work that the rest of the world is too distracted to notice. Because when the world feels unstable, when people are searching for an anchor, it is usually the quiet ones who have already found it. You know, perhaps the most important journey we ever take isn't across the globe. It's the one that happens when we finally close the door. It's quiet here, but that's where the truth usually hides. Your home isn't just four walls and a roof. It's the lighthouse you built in the middle of a storm. When you sit in that silence, you aren't hiding. You are finally the captain of the ship, watching the waves from the one place they can no longer reach you. You aren't just staying in. You are finally coming home to the person you were always meant to be.